I now reconvene the regular council meeting for Monday, February 24th, 2025. Before we get the meeting underway, we'd like to acknowledge that this council meeting is being held on the homeland of the Tanaka people. As well, I'd like to welcome members of the gallery and any viewers, remote viewers from home. Thank you for joining us. We have a request from staff to move item 8.1 of new business, Gold Creek Dam design budget and construction budget update up on the agenda to be considered item 6.8 under bylaws, Gold Creek Dam Loan Authority, Gold Creek Dam Loan Authorization Bylaw number 4189, 2025. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting of Monday, February 24, 2025? Councillor Bassett, Councillor Peabody, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt the following minutes? Minutes of the special council meeting of Monday, February 10th, 2025. Minutes of the regular council meeting Monday, February 10th, 2025. Mover, Councillor Graham, Councillor Popoff. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We'll now recess the regular council meeting to move into our public hearings for tonight. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act to consider the following bylaws. First off, First Street South Road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 4173, 2024. And secondly, Corbett Road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 4180, 2024. This public is being held in person and electronically with residents and interested parties being given the opportunity to express their views. This meeting is being broadcast live from the city's website, and there is a link on the home page that will take you directly into the meeting. At this public hearing, any person who believes that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw will be given an opportunity to be heard. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. However, it is important that all who speak at this meeting restrict their remarks to the matters contained in the bylaws, and it is my responsibility as chair of this meeting to ensure that all remarks are so restricted. Members of council may ask questions of you following your presentation. However, the main function of council members this evening is to listen to the views of the public and not debate the merits of the proposed bylaws with individual citizens. Those of you who wish to speak concerning the proposed bylaws should, at the appropriate time, begin by clearly stating your name and address, and then give us the benefits of your view. You will be given 5 minutes for your presentation. I will call for presentations 3 times for each bylaw. Once the public hearing is closed, members of council cannot take any further input regarding the proposed bylaws, and will then deal with the bylaws during the regular meeting of the council held after the public hearing. The first bylaw for consideration tonight is the proposed First Street South Road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 4173, 2024. The bylaw proposes to close and remove the highway dedication status for a 427.2 meter square portion of First Street South, which is intended to address traffic safety, current engineering safety standards for roads, and to reduce the risk of accidents. First Street South between Victoria Avenue and 23rd Avenue South is proposed to be closed permanently to vehicle traffic. A pathway will be left in place to ensure continued public access to Rotary Way along Victoria Avenue for active transportation, walking, biking, etc. I will call on any members of the public who are in the chamber tonight to speak first. If you wish to provide comments, please come up to the podium, provide your name and address before giving us your comments. If you are on the phone line waiting to speak, callers will be identified by the last 2 digits of their phone number, or if you have pre-registered, we will call you by name. Please make sure you know which number you are calling from and listen for it to be called. When it is your turn to speak, you will be allowed to unmute yourself by pressing *6 and you will have your opportunity to provide us with your views. If you have not pre-registered and wish to speak, please press *3 on your phone to signal staff you wish to address council. I will now call a first time for submissions. From the gallery, anybody in the gallery wish to? We'll start with Brian on the front there, the gentleman on the front right. You just get your first and last name and your address, please. Yeah, up to the podium.
Here, okay.
No, that's fine.
Brian Kostick, 307 14 Victoria Avenue South, which is the Glenlevitt Manor. I used to live at the Chateau Vic, where this issue is being discussed. After I moved to the Chateau Vic, my son-in-law and grandson were one night we were going down onto Victoria, and luckily my son-in-law was driving, and Wamble just about got hit. A friend of mine later on, same thing happened to him. He pulled out. He didn't. The problem there is the inside lane, and the way that block wall is built, you can't see a small vehicle. It just, anyways, he pulled out. Guy, he just about got T-boned. The guy was stopped 2 feet from his door, he told me. So after discussions with Public Works and so forth, well, it's not an issue, you know, blah, blah, blah. So one day I called the WCB inspectors, put our safety vets went down there, walked down there and pointed out what the problem was. And I just leaned ahead, and all of a sudden they grabbed me. 2 skateboarders come down would have hit me if they hadn't pulled me back. I consulted with Elmer Higgins. He was a professional engineer. He did many projects for the city. He said that wall was built too high. It defeats the purpose. And the city kept saying, well, it's holding up all that property. So I went and got a signed petition by the residents. Finally got okay to make the walls safe, take down so you could see. I asked Derek Anderson, he was Public Works, if they could use the vacuum truck to suck the drain rock out behind the wall. He said no, he wouldn't do it. So one Sunday morning, I hired 3 laborers, got a whole bunch of 5-gallon pails. I drove, they filled up the pails. I drove up on the sidewalk. They put them in the truck. I drove them up around to the neighbor, and he used them for his landscaping. And I hauled the cement blocks we took down to the city yard. I had a discussion with my lawyer, who was Jerry Cambites at the time, and I wasn't aware about the issue. And he told me, he says, Brian, I'm the city's lawyer. I also cannot represent either party, but if the city is warned, they are liable. So it's a parking issue from 24th by the regional district. The public health, interior health workers have to park there. There's not enough parking in that area. And to get in there is a real hassle. It's restricted. And I talked to the fire chief at that time, was Mayor Price, and asked him, and he agreed the best way for them to get in into that area was come down Second, down Victoria and in First Street.
Yeah. Brian, you got just less than 1 minute now.
Pardon? 24th access is restricted by parked cars, fire chief. Yeah, okay. So they rebuilt the wall, put it back the same way it was. I talked to Tony Heshu about it. He said, well, they're looking at it at the sight lines. That they poured a cement base. It was there for 2 months, sat there. It's holding, the ground there is hard pan and it doesn't slope. So anyway, next thing I know, they built it back the same way. And I had the taxi driver that I know, he just about got T-boned there. And I run into one of the other residents at the Chateau Vic that lives there, and she just about got T-boned.
Thank you, Brian. That's 5 minutes. Yeah, thanks very much. Anybody else? Front row?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Jerry Smith. I own one of the units located at number 5, 118 23rd Ave South. And come to you tonight because we do have concerns as a strata in that area from all the units. There are several signatures that were gathered and correspondence submitted to you from our strata. I see there is numerous other correspondence submitted to you from residents and other owners in that area. I would ask that you please read those and consider in detail what they're saying and how it will affect the residents in that area. It does draw some concerns to me that I will not reiterate the ones that are put out in the correspondence to you, but some of the concerns that I have are the closure of First Street would force everyone in the area to use 24th Avenue. So asks access to their residences, which would present a whole new gambit of safety concerns that some are addressed in the correspondence that you have, particularly from the Fairway Park Estates president there. And some of the other things that I found confusing, some of the correspondence that I was reading in relation to this is that there would be no budgetary impact on the city. Nil indicated in the council report. Yet surely if you're closing down a roadway and constructing a pathway, there would have to be some kind of construction or making this pathway happen, deconstructing the roadway. Surely there'd have to be some cost there. Plus then who is going to maintain this pathway in years to come? So there would be some kind of budgetary matters there. Another concern, the city has responsibilities to provide reliable and responsive infrastructure to the community. Would that include parking and snow removal? Because the snow removal in there now is a problem. It's piled up. In fact, it's piled up right in front of this area of concern that is addressed tonight, where you would like to possibly develop that area. There's about a 6-foot pile of snow there. So that is one concern there. And another concern would be by closing that off is how safe and efficient would that be for any or all of the emergency services to access in a sort of highly populated area. It's just not single residents in there. You have multiple housings and apartment. Plus you have the back of the hospital with mental health, the health unit, public health unit, and access on there is tight as well. Parking is restricted in this whole area, including in that cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac is restricted now, vast majority of it to residents only. But all the way in that cul-de-sac and out to 24th, there is parking there by mainly the interior health staff because they don't want to pay for parking, I assume, or there isn't sufficient parking at the hospital for them. And you will see in some of the correspondence that that roadway becomes very congested and tight to maneuver. Also, 24th Avenue, as you're pulling out of there, the sight lines with all the parking that is allowed there in the summer is also a problem.
Yep. 1 minute, Jerry.
Thank you. Also, I find it hard to understand how this project will meet the growing needs for lower income and high density housing options when it's only 0.1 of an acre that you're talking about here. Surely there would be other places within the city limits that would better suit this purpose for development. I don't know what's happening with the land from Muriel Baxter School. You know, the city probably does not own it, but they could partner or promote such ventures in that area that would be probably more suited, in my opinion, but for such a thing. The only other really concern is the First Street closure. Does that affect any of the hospital's emergency plans for evacuation from their units in the whole area?
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay. Thank you very much for the.
Lady in the front, yep. We'll go through the front row first and then work along the back from right to left.
Good evening, dear councils. My name is Tatiana Pijeski, and I have been living in this neighborhood since 2007. So I understand that this decision is being considered because of safety issues, but I respectfully disagree with this decision. Like I have never had major safety problems while using this road. Even though the visibility is not good at the stop sign, but it's not perfect as a lot of stop signs in Cranbrook. That's not only area where you don't have 100% visibility. A full stop and then moving forward a little bit can give enough visibility to safety proceeds. I also see when you put on the scale safety on the road, then you have to consider the impact which it can done on our neighborhood. As previous gentleman was talking, it will be more traffic to come out of the neighborhood on 24th Avenue North. And itself, this stop sign and 24th Avenue North, it's not safe during 6 months of the year when hospital workers are allowed to park on the both sides across gated community. When I'm going there, I cannot do left turn because visibility is complete zero. And that's what should be considered. If we increase in traffic through our street, so then I see a lot of risk for pedestrians. Though we are taxpayers and pay full taxes, we never had pedestrian sidewalks, which creates risk for children, for seniors, and for any pedestrians. So that's like really important concern. I also see another potential problem. Even though we have signs which have restrictive parking, and it says parking for residents only, so illegal parking continues to happen on everyday basis. The city has not enforced parking rules well, which adds to the safety risk in our neighborhood. So my next concern is, even I live in one of the 7 separate houses in the area, but our neighborhood is already crowded. And if it's more development happening and like building another apartment, it will make the situation worse. This will put more pressure on the limited infrastructure and create risk, especially a risk of the fire. I also see environmental impact and extra cost for residents. Closing the road will make residents take longer routes to leave the neighborhood, wasting time and increasing travel cost. For example, I usually leave my house 3-4 times a day. If I have to take a longer route to 24th Avenue North, so every time my route will be 1 kilometer longer. What means every 4 kilometers daily? And that means 1,456 kilometers per year. This is
1
not
minute.
going well with green agenda.
1 minute.
So 1 minute,
Yeah.
thanks. So also, I also would like council to think about real danger in our neighborhood. And the real danger in our neighborhood, it's deer. The population of deer in the neighborhood is incredible. By the way, I don't know any person who had accidents because of low visibility on the stop sign going to Victoria. But I know 7 people who had accidents because of deer. And this only during last 2 years. So this deer create a huge risk for our community. And every year I have a lot of ways to clean on my front and backyard. And when it's biological hazard, and city has to consider it to protect neighborhood from this.
Thank you.
So I kindly ask councils to consider, to reconsider this decision. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Anybody else in the front row wish to speak? No, in the back? The corner in the back?
Hi, I'm Rick Benkowski. I live at number 8109 23rd Avenue South. For the sake of brevity, a lot of the comments and statements that I was going to bring up have already been brought up. I will add to some of them, i.e. in regards to the constricted road that is the current First Street. It is poorly maintained at the best of times. It is rutted. It has all kinds of divots and raised elements. And I don't see how it will ever be repaired if we were to shut down first, and then our access would be completely removed to that entire area. I'm concerned about the apartment building that's across the road from me, in the sense that if you were to build a low income housing unit there, that their 2 access points for their parking lot would be contained to 1. To the point that many people have brought up already regarding access for fire and ambulance. I know that particular apartment unit gets all kinds of ambulances in there weekly, and I don't know how they're going to get in there in a timely fashion. That's concerning to me. The lack of a sidewalk is concerning. And so on and so forth. My biggest concern is the lack of any kind of willingness for a compromise. I appreciate that this road might be considered somewhat unsafe, the steepness, the access to Victoria. I would implore the city to consider actions like it's done in the past, and that is to establish signage. I don't see why we cannot have signs going up on Victoria and down saying that this is a high traffic zone, like we've done on 12th and 4th, like we've done at 4th and 7th, and so on and so forth throughout the city. Some nice giant yellow signs. I would also encourage you to consider that restricting access to First, both with what would be called a right in and a right out. no left-hand turns, so that we can leave safely from our community and you can enter safely, but it would also minimize some of the constriction that's happening of people driving up Victoria wanting to do left-hand turns and the buildup trying to leave first doing left-hand turns. It is obviously not ideal, but I think in this day and age, compromise is something that we should consider. And I believe that would help with a lot of the safety issues, a right in, right out, and tremendous signage saying, hey, this is a high collision area. The city has done this before without doing any other sort of efforts to minimize the traffic, and it seems to have worked. I like yellow signs. Yellow signs are nice. They're easy to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back row. The lady in the burgundy there? Yep.
Hello, my name is Lana Harris, and I live at number 52375 First Street South. So that's in Fairway Park Estates. So I realize that the area you're speaking of is sort of on the other side of First, but I'd like to explain to you how it's going to impact our area. So it is a very busy neighborhood. And as I'm sure you know, there's several apartment buildings, there's townhouses that we've heard from, the health center. So all of that activity is now going to have to come in and out at 24th and 1st beside the hospital. And as you've already heard, there's visibility issues there. From my perspective, when I drive out of my townhouse area, I have been almost hit by cars flying up first by the RDEK. So now you're taking the problem at the bottom of the hill, and please consider what you're doing to the top of the hill, to the top of First, because now I have personally almost been hit by cars trying to get out of our townhouse complex. You're probably going to at least triple that flow onto a street that is, as someone else mentioned, very poorly maintained. It has potholes. I think there's a sidewalk on one side. Our mailboxes are right on First. So how are we supposed to get our mail? Right now, I stop, I cross that road, get my mail. So that's just another thing that's going to be congested in a very small area. And as people have mentioned, getting onto 24th from First is already, especially when cars are allowed to park on 24th, there's already a visibility issue. So you're taking your problem with your accidents and you're moving it up the hill. And then a couple of other things. There's already a bit of a wait at that intersection during peak hours. And finally, if you close Victoria Avenue exit, there is one exit from our area, from our whole community. So if there's a major incident in the city, we know of fires, we know of climate change issues, you've left us with one little place to get out, all of us. And you have the hospital right there that you're probably going to try to have people going to. So when you're thinking of accidents, please consider us as well. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Back row.
My name is Clark Stephen. I live at Fairway Estates. I only became aware of this whole thing late Friday afternoon. So I did what any kid would do today. I used AI And this is the response I got from AI. I threw your public information into it, and they came back with this suggested letter for me. Before proceeding with the closure, I respectfully request the following studies be conducted to assess the full impact on residents, businesses, and essential services. Traffic flow and impact study, measurement of current traffic volumes, etc. Emergency services response analysis. 3, alternative safety improvements, such as signage, low-cost improvements. There has been needed. You are going right from 2nd North to 2nd South streets without a crosswalk. You've got people coming out, and we are supposed to be an active community. There's no way for a person on a bike or walking to get across Victoria. You look up Victoria, past 2nd South, and you see a crosswalk there. I submit to you that there is one heck of a lot more people that are trying to get across Victoria, coming down Victoria, cutting through the parking lot at the arena to get to downtown or the arena or shopping or medical appointments. Okay, this hasn't even been looked at. The other thing that you do is you put a warning sign up when somebody is crossing there. You've got a structure there. It's already needed in our city that really supports an active community until they have to spend money. Yet, when I take a look at the reasons for this, the only reason I see for this is a 10.6% grade. Do you not have variance legislation? And this has been at 10.6 for 50 years. It's a pretty poor excuse. I've walked down that. I have ridden down on a bike. I came that way tonight because I was in a hurry. Sorry, you stop before the sidewalk because it is the Rotary Trail. I'm hearing about all these accidents or near misses. I submit that there are more accidents at controlled corners with lights, etc., such as where Victoria meets the highway. This thing is crazy. When you say that you're going to put it through, 22 pages on the prep for the meeting tonight, which I started reading at 5:30. I don't think there's one word for closing first. First in your thing says it was a temporary measure and it is now obsolete. I submit that it was a temporary measure that for 50 years that whole area has built on.
1 minute.
Well, you look at the hospital. In essence, you can say the hospital wasn't there 50 years ago. That is closer than saying that the present, I'm making the clear, it has grown so far. The health center has come in there. Look at the density of the people in there. It's all been built partially on the back of First Street South, which you say is now obsolete. I beg to differ. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further? Anybody online?
Mayor Price, we have no online
Okay.
participants.
I'll now call a second time for submissions. Anybody further from the gallery? Nobody online? Okay, I'll now call a third and final time for submissions. Nothing? Hearing no further comments, I now close the public hearing for the proposed First Street South Road closure and removal of highway dedicated bylaw number 4173, 2024. The next bylaw for consideration tonight is the proposed Corbett Road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 4180, 2024. The bylaw proposed to close and remove the highway dedication status for the 1.35 hectare portion of Corbett Road off Highway 95A to enable amalgamation of lands and subdivide the parcel into two, one being for future development lands and the other being the old landfill. I will now call for a first time for submissions. Is anybody in the gallery wish to speak? Nobody online?
There are no online folks, Mayor.
Okay. I will now call a second time for submissions. And finally, I'll call a third time for submissions. Hearing no further comments, I now close the public hearing for the proposed Corbett Road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 4180, 2024. I now reconvene the regular council meeting for Monday, February 24th, 2025. We're going to move into delegations right away here. We have one delegation tonight from the History Center regarding the History Center funding agreement and loan repayment. Welcome, Jeanette.
Oh. Oh, good.
There you go.
Thank you. Let me get my notes. Okay. Good evening, Your Worship, Mayor Price and members of City Council. My name is Jeanette Sissons. I am here today representing the Cranbrook Archives Museum and Landmark Society, aka the Cranbrook History Center, to discuss the funding of the Cranbrook History Center. I'm treasurer of the CAMEL board, and with me tonight is Jared Tenise. He is the Chief Operating Officer of CAMEL. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present our proposals and answer any questions that may arise. A PowerPoint presentation and additional written material has been provided in advance of the meeting. The key proposals are the loan repayment, the license of occupation, and the funding model, two of which I know we addressed tonight. First, let's touch on the loan repayment. In 2018, the city assisted with a loan to complete phase 1 of the train shed. It was fully advanced in 2019, and then 2020 hit us. In 2021, CAMEL did repay $40,000 of the loan, and in 2024, a further lump sum of $130,000 was paid from a generous donation received for that purpose. So the balance outstanding on the loan is now $130,000. CAMEL has a proposed repayment of $14,000 per year starting 2025, and we are good with it being withheld from the annual payments from the city for ease of administration, and it's the simplest way to do it. CAMEL's very cognizant of the impact of inflation on all of us over the past 3 years, and that the city continues to work to maximize its own revenue opportunities. And CAMEL's proposal for the line of the license of occupation is to right-size our footprint, and that by removing city lands and freeing them for other purposes, this will give the city opportunity to perhaps maximize some revenue from them or also other development purposes. The CHC, the Cranbrook History Center, has no plans to expand. We got enough. Right now, we are working on the train shed. The phase 2, the funding's in place, and that will cover all of the trains that are going to remain. And phase 3 in the future will actually enclose it and make it into a space that is environmentally controlled and available for other purposes, meetings and displays. We also have funding in place right now for the museum development project, which is first starting with an interpretation plan, and then we'll be also move on to the engineering for the completion of the office spaces upstairs, the freight shed, upper shed being galleries and exhibits, and redesign of the welcome into the building. We look forward to working with staff to define the license of occupation in the future. The funding model. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Kamal and community and the Cranbrook History Center are aligning with the city planning goals. Our initiatives support the OCP's objectives to enhance Cranbrook's regional economic role by expanding tourism infrastructure and products, promote heritage awareness through ongoing education and conservation efforts, maintain and improve community spaces and cultural institutions. The rationale for continued support. We have a historical partnership and it's very unique. The Cranbrook History Center, or CAMAL, and the city entered into the first license of occupation in 1977. The development and growth of that property has been through that agreement. It was 10 years. And in 1991, there was another historic development in the expansion of the area that was covered. I was going to say. We have a tourism economic impact. The Cranbrook History Center and Fort Steele Heritage Town are key visitor attractions contributing to local economic growth. Financial sustainability. Kamal has significantly increased its earned revenue, reducing reliance on sending funding while demonstrating fiscal responsibility. We have grown our budget from in 2011, where city funding was 34%. Sorry, get my numbers straight. But it has grown, and we now are at, we're providing 50% of our funding from earned revenue in 2024. Hall rentals have increased from being $8,000 in 2011 to $66,000 in 2024. Admissions and tours have remained pretty static. We're hoping they change with Fort Steele. Gives us some added benefit and clout in moving people from coming to visit Fort Steele to coming into the Cranbrook History Center as well, and the other way around. Institutional continuity. Stable funding ensures the preservation of valuable artifacts and historic sites for future generations, required by museums' mandated activities. Cost effectiveness. The city's per capita heritage funding remains lower than comparable municipalities, offering high value cultural benefits. If we compare what the city of Cranbrook funds per person to close municipalities to us, City of Cranbrook, let me find my paper. You've got it right there. Thank you. Fernie Museum, population of Fernie being 6,320. They contribute 55,000 a year to that, which comes to a funding of $8.70 per person. Sparwood has a population of 4,450 people, $49,000 a year. That's $11 per person. Castlegar Museum has a population of 8,338. They fund at $46,575 a year. Their funding is at $559. Roslyn Museum has a population of 4,311. Funding is $55,000 a year. They fund at $13.12 a person. Campbell River has a population of 37,117. They receive funding of 4,011 and 44,500 a year, which gives them a funding at $618 per person. Cranbrook at the 121,000 with our population of 21,000 is $5.67 per person. Looking at the 2024 budget, actually it was 2023 number, but anyway, the tax per property tax on an average house price of $468,000. Each property tax payment was $9.74 of the funding that was received by the Cranbrook History Center. Strategic growth. With CAML assuming operations of Fortsdale Heritage Town on April 1st, 2025, there's a united management approach that's going to strengthen our regional heritage tourism. We see a very good synergy in this. CAML did the RFP, the response to it, and was advised a full month ahead of expected timing that they were receiving, that we were successful in our bid due to the strength of our plan, which is based on exactly what we deliver at Cranbrook History Center. We deliver tours and programs that meet and exceed people's expectations. And we're focused on continuing that delivery in Fortsdale and enhancing the experience in both places. We intend to offer a membership to CAML that gives free admission to both Fortsdale and Cranbrook History Center, discounts for bringing your friends and family, and discounts when you're shopping there, just like it used to be. Next slide, please. So here's our case for a service agreement rather than being considered grant and aid. There are, well, what we do. We do heritage, site and material preservation, education and entertainment in support of Cranbrook residents and the regional tourism economy. Our mission, the Cranbrook Archives Museum and Landmark Society, is dedicated to preserving, interpreting, and celebrating the diverse histories of Cranbrook, the East Kootenay region, and beyond. As stewards of Fortsdale Heritage Town for the province of British Columbia, we manage this historic site alongside the Cranbrook History Center to provide immersive, educational, and authentic experiences. Our nationally designated railcar collection, internationally recognized paleontology specimens, and extensive archival repository connect people to the past through dynamic exhibits, research opportunities, and engaging programming. We believe in the power of history and science to ignite imagination, stimulate curiosity, and foster community connections. I need a drink of water. Oh, thank you. Okay. Our vision is to inspire a deep appreciation for history, culture, and heritage by serving as a gateway to the stories of Cranbrook, the East Kootenay, British Columbia, and Canada. Through our management of the Cranbrook History Center and Fortsdale Heritage Town, we aspire to build community spirit, honor diverse perspectives, and provide meaningful opportunities for discovery, education, and connection to the land and its people. How we support the planning goals for the City of Cranbrook. Referring to the official community plan, our path to Cranbrook 2042, from the guiding principles on page 4 and 5, Beautify the community and cultivate vibrant neighborhoods, encouraging the cultivation of aesthetically pleasing community spaces and neighborhoods. That's from page 4. Page 5, enhance Cranbrook's status as the economic regional hub for the Kootenays, home to the most major retailers, civic amenities, recreational facilities, institutions, and employers. In section B.5.2.3, tourism, A, support the expansion of the tourist industry by implementing the direction and recommendations outlined in the city's tourism master plan, 2023, page 53. G, continue to support the development of the Cranbrook History Centre as a major visitor attraction, page 53 as well. N, boost tourism by leveraging and improving the city's heritage features. I think that is. Support the Baker Hill Heritage Association and CAMAL in continuing and expanding heritage awareness, building educational initiatives. In section 6.2.3, heritage, arts, and culture, strengthen the connection between Cranbrook's natural environment, culture, and heritage by seeking opportunities to reflect this connection in the built environment. Support the Baker Hill Heritage Association and the Cranbrook Archives Museum and Landmark Society Foundation in continuing and expanding their heritage awareness building and educational initiatives. Section 8.6, section B.6.2.4, arts and culture, ensure there are a variety of appropriately designed, well-maintained local venues for indoor and outdoor sporting events, performing arts, tournaments, festivals, and trade shows, amongst other community events. We did the Wildlife Festival this year. That was phenomenal. We have people asking when we're doing it again and trying to be in town for next time. It was the organization that we helped. Jared has the numbers in his head. Said it was the best they'd ever seen. They were just so pleased. Some people may have thought that it didn't fit with what we do, but we felt it did. It was another not-for-profit. It was bringing an opportunity for people in our community and our regions to experience something that they would have to travel to Vancouver or Calgary, maybe Mexico, I don't know, to experience and it was a safe environment, and it was a rescue. Those are all animals that had to be rehomed and looked after. So we think a little outside the box. The City of Cranbrook Tourism Master Plan from 2023. Cranbrook's strengths and differentiators. Unique railcar collection having national significance, significant investments made in restoration and preservation over many years with a visible highway presence. Cranbrook highlights. In a 2022 visitor survey, local attractions, so Fort Steele museums, were a highlight for 28% of visitors, higher than the town's outdoor activities at 20%, accommodations at 18%, golf courses 15%, stores 10%, or restaurants at 8%. More arguments for the long term. We've had a long-term partnership with the City of Cranbrook. Historically, the city has been exceptionally supportive of CAML, dating back to its first 10-year lease and agreement in 1977. This support has helped nurture the growth of a thriving heritage facility, supporting a diversified community programming and regional tourism economy. It's in the plan. As I said, the OCP and the Tourism Master Plan argue in favor of continued support through both directly to continue the development of the Cranbrook History Centre as a major visitor attraction, and indirectly in terms of cultivating aesthetically pleasing community spaces. This year, the Cranbrook History Centre, CAMAL, has received funding that will repaint the water tower and the Elco station and also repair the roof. That is going to be a nicer sight line down Baker. The other thing we have too is the second phase of the train shed, which is another $1.8 million investment that we have the funding in place for. And we're using Berry Architectures as our project management, and it is out for the seeking the right contractor now, partners. That will be completed by the end of 2025. And supported by Heritage BC, Destination BC, and what was it? There's another one. Anyway, BC Arts Council also did some funding. I mentioned it before, the institutional stability. Institutional continuity for museum collections. Maintaining the artifacts of our regional history for the public enjoyment requires a commitment to institutional continuity. In this respect, the CHC is unique among the city's grant recipients. If the city's museum artifacts and exhibits are to be maintained for future generations, then a separate funding category should recognize the unique requirements of heritage protection. This commitment to the community requires significant financial investment, which does not always produce revenue to offset the expenses. Diversified programming developed to enhance the historic collections balances public access, conservation, and revenue generation. Again, we believe that the synergy between Fort Steele Heritage Site and Cranbrook History Center will enhance for both of them. Also, that partnership allows us to access and acquire the professional knowledge and skills that are needed for both to progress further. You need a certain size scale of economy to make things work. Financial performance. With the city's support, Kamal has made great progress in meeting the city financial goals over the past decade. In 2012, when the city contributions of $157,000 were approximately 44% of total revenue, I just want you to know at that time the city's contribution in cash was $90,000. The other were in kind, like cleaning the parking lot, doing some of the yard maintenance, things like that. That was where the rest was. And Kamal's earned revenue of $73,000 represented only 16.5% of the total expenditures. The city's business and economic development officer, Kevin Weaver, wrote, "The city's expectation is that Kamal will significantly increase earned revenue at the museum." That was a letter of expectations from December 10th, 2012. Kamal has risen to that challenge. In 2024, our earned revenue before grants, fundraising, donations, and operating sponsorship and interest was about 37% of the 2025 draft budget, about $174,000 and some change. It's more than double our 2011 performance. And the service agreement funding has declined to roughly 25% of Kamal's draft budget. And if in-kind tax exemptions and the Elko Station lease are included, the total city funding has declined from $157,000 in 2011 to about $142,000 today. While inflation since 2011 is 34.11%, that's from the Bank of Canada inflation calculator. To put it another way, the value of the city's 2011 contribution today would be $211,000. So if we use the future value of money, present day value, we are actually receiving less and doing more. Thank you. I'm happy to say that the 2024 revenue of, we're still at draft stage, but our 2024 revenue has exceeded our high point in 2019. So we're well above the 300, we're about 350,000 in earned revenue, or combined donations and earned. I want to talk about the level of oversight required. This has come up before. Kamal is committed to providing annual reporting metrics that demonstrate mutual benefits and accountability to the city as an arm's length partner. This includes key indicators such as earned income, total visitations, capital spending, memberships and donation figures, and annual financial statements. By ensuring clear and consistent reporting, Kamal allows the city to assess the impact of its investment while maintaining the independence of professional management and policy governance. Day-to-day operations will continue to be managed by Kamal's experienced leadership team, ensuring operational efficiency and long-term sustainability. I want to emphasize that CAMEL is a policy board. As soon as we decide to do something as a volunteer, we report to staff. We don't, and our leadership team is our Chief Operating Officer and our Chief Heritage Officer. They take our direction, we set our policy, they go forth and do. And if they're, and they're in charge of making sure all of the things happen, and we keep our hands to ourselves. Economic development. CAMEL is a good faith partner in the city's goal to develop visitor attractions in support of economic development, expanded tourism, and community engagement. As noted above, the tourism master plan includes a visitor survey of Cranbrook highlights. And in that survey, 28% of visitors ranked Fort Steele museums, etc., higher than the town's outdoor activities and accommodations and stuff. It's more fun to do. One of the important things to know is that the core funding that the city provides is used for leverage. This year, we received $430,000 from the provincial government to do the interpretive plan, the museum development project, the interpretive plan, and then the engineering plan. If you don't have that investment by your city, they don't value you because they don't see that there's any continuity. There's no guarantee that what they're putting out for is going to continue. When a city provides that funding, they're invested. They monitor, maintain, and care. And that's really important in all of those funding grants. The $1.8 million that's for the train shed roof, the same thing. The city's funding's been consistent. The agreements we have been consistent. The license of occupation allows the activities we're doing. It's very important. A service agreement is cost effective for the city. When we have a service agreement, and through the service agreement and license of occupation, CAMEL is effectively the city's agent and operates the Cranbrook History Center on the city's behalf as a provider of goods and services. That is how the CHC is listed in the 2023 City of Cranbrook Annual Report on page 65. Payments made for provision of goods and services. The city's service agreement helps us manage costs with a lower per capita subsidy for heritage, about $5.91 a person based on the population of 20,500, which is lower than other Kootenay communities. It's also the 121,000 paid last, or 121,000, yes, was 0.18% of the expenditures on the expenses, what was paid out by the city of the $67 million, 0.18, and I think we do a lot for that. There's the other reason for a service agreement is the lack of fit with policy 40-51 of grant funding. Both parties benefit from addressing CAMEL funding outside of the policy of 40-51. It requires that a grant to be spent for the specific purpose for which it was awarded in section 4.1F and reported accordingly in section 9.3. Whereas CAMEL's service agreement is a broader subsidy for multiple services, activities, events, projects, and programs. CHC is also currently indebted to the city, which is a disqualifying condition. And the History Center operations also include activities and listed in section 4.4 of ineligible services, activities, events, projects, or programs. And while CAMEL fundraises or collects fees separately for such activities, the funding of related overhead would have to be carefully documented.
Jeanette, do you have much more? Typically, we go 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, am I close? I have no idea how long I've been talking. I'm
Yeah.
good at it. Okay, I'll just quickly do the rest here. The CHC Fort Steele Heritage Town transition period, the stable funding greatly supports the Camel Board during a tremendous transition in heritage site operations. In coming years, the board may see indirect benefits to the History Centre finances. For example, membership sales and gate receipts may increase at CHC through the cross-promotion of the two venues. However, financial benefits will be not unknown until after about 2026, when we've done a full 4 year. I think everything else is there. We talked about everything. The one thing that I wanted to say is that in no way will funding that the Cranbrook History Centre or Camel receives for the Cranbrook History Centre be used for Fort Steele. And it can't be the other way either. The contracts are very clear. Going forward, there will be audited financial statements, and you will receive a copy, and you will see the separate service or income statements for each one. I thank you very much for your time and your attention, and I would like to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jeanette. Jared, Councilor Papa.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Quick question. Jeanette, do you get any annualized funding, like service agreements or anything from the greater regional district? I mean, we're not just Cranbrook, we're Cranbrook and regional district. So does Area C or the regional district kick in their token 20% of what the city's paying?
Through Mayor Price, Councillor Popoff. We do not at this time, although we do receive, we apply for the ready grants that the regional district delivers on behalf of CBT. And it is in our plan going forward, our strategic plan, to be working with the regional district to show how we look after that full part. So yes, it will be. Yeah.
Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I would thank you for the presentation. I would certainly echo Councillor Pavlov's question. I think a meeting with RDE Care Chair Rob Gay would be certainly in order to discuss that opportunity. For CAO Furcho, I'm just wondering, do we have a plan at a future date to discuss the license of occupation question?
Mayor Price through to Councilor Ray. So yeah, that is something staff are looking at because there was quite a few moving parts to that. So that wasn't dealt with in this meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Councilor Stetsky.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for the presentation. Later on in the agenda, we're looking at a funding model potentially for the Cranbrook History Centre, which sees basically a reduction pretty much every year going forward. And I'm wondering what you think the impact might be of reducing the funding quite significantly over time.
Councillor Stetsky through Mayor Price. That is a very good, thank you for bringing the present. It would have a significant impact on us. Although it's a small amount of the overall city budget to reduce us by $10,000 a year, it has a big impact, as I said, in our ability to leverage that city support for other opportunities. It also gives us the stability in maintaining the professional staff that we have. We do an awful lot with the equivalent of 6 full-time staff. And at this point, we have 4 full-time staff. And it's amazing what's been done off of that. You know, the RFP for Fort Steele took a great deal of time as well and energy. The fact that that we were able to take the hall rentals and move them from 27,000 to 66,000 in 1 year reflects that core funding being there and the support demonstrated by the city that the value is there, that what we're doing and producing is a benefit to the community. We don't market very much, and we still do as well as we do. As the money moves ahead, it gives us an opportunity to develop on the tourism side more as much as the regional side.
Further council? Councilor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. So Jeanette, just to be clear with what you are requesting here. So you're hoping that council will maintain the service agreement at the current rate of $120,000 for the next 5 years, but then take the payment out of that $120,000 of $14,000 a year. So yeah, what is that? $106,000 a year is what you're hoping to receive from the city.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
it's good.
great. And then, yeah, I guess as been discussed here, council has talked, and I guess the city has talked about getting rid of this fee for service and just do a grant. But you're arguing that you'd rather have the fee for service?
To Councillor Peabody, to Mayor Price, we prefer the fee for service. I think it recognizes the unique position of our relationship. Your grant program doesn't allow for a license of occupation in it. Like, it's unique. We're on city lands. We're operating basically for the benefit of the whole city. Doing it as a not-for-profit society makes the most sense rather than putting operations of it into city hands, which you could do. The value, we just had an appraisal done in 2023. The insurance value of the buildings is over $15 million. If you net that out of the demolition costs, that's still over $13.5 million in infrastructure and buildings that have been put on the property. And that's not including the trains. That doesn't, just, so we see that we're unique and we don't fit within the city's granting policy. We, similar to, not similar, but the Key City Theatre doesn't fit within your granting policy. The Cranbrook Curling Club doesn't fit within your granting policy. They sit as separate items. I guess they are grants in a way, but we prefer the fee for service. We just like to reduce the amount of reporting to things that are useful to you, to the city, to share with Cranbrook Tourism. We would do anyway, but that's what we'd like to just see, less day-to-day management, basically. We do what we do it well, and we're showing that. And we'd like to, respectfully, just the fee for service. The service being provided is the care and management of Cranbrook's history, and having the availability of community development and heritage spaces.
Okay, great, thank you.
Further? Thank you very much, Jeanette and Jared. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for your time.
I'm going to move into bylaws now. The first bylaw for consideration tonight is from Engineering and Development Services regarding First Street South Road closure and removal of highway dedication, bylaw number 4173/2025. This bylaw is back before council tonight for adoption. Can I get a motion that can I get a motion that, subject to council's consideration of public input received up to and including the public hearing of February 24th, 2025, council adopt First Street South Road closure and removal highway dedication bylaw number 4173/2025. Mover, please. Councilor Bassett, Councilor Popoff. Discussion. Councilor Graham, Councilor Popoff, Councilor Stetsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just listening to some of the comments mentioned on this and seeing some of concerns raised by the public. I don't know if I'm in favor of the closure. It was one of those, I was a bit indifferent, and it was nice to hear the public comments on it as well, the ones that are going to be directly impacted, and looking at ways that we might mitigate some of the issues, because I remember going up that road as a little kid. So it's been there a long time, and I don't think that it is a major accident source, and it's something that we might want to reconsider. So I know that listening to the folks from the neighborhood, I'm not in favor.
Thank you, Councilor Popoff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And in my former career, I used to use that.
Speak up a little more.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. In my previous career, I used to access that 10 point whatever % slope. And I got to tell you, in the wintertime, you don't stop. You just keep sliding right out into Victoria. And also the visibility issues are definitely real. In the staff report, though, they didn't really make any mention of a traffic study or the fact that if we do eliminate this, there'll be one in and out road onto, I guess it's 24th Avenue. What about emergency access vehicles? More the greater traffic congestion that's likely going to be created. And all of that because there's been more densification in that area since that temporary road was installed. So I think there were some really good questions asked by the delegations today. And I'm kind of leaning like Councillor Graham. I'm thinking I might just want to see this take some more time to consider all these points before it comes back to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, thank you. I think there was some really good input tonight, some options that the city should consider, including maybe right in, right out. But I think there is more that should be looked at, and so I'm not in favor of proceeding at this point either.
Thank you, Councillor Bissett, and then Councillor Peabody.
Oh, thank you. I realized maybe part of my hearing problem is I had my button on. But anyways, I don't know. I've used that road many times. Yes, you turn onto 24. You can. The alternative is to go. Is it 24th? And they mentioned some issues about parking there, but that can be adjusted by enforcement so that we can make sure there's more visibility on 24th. You can also drive through, like there is the drive through the hospital alternative too. I mean, it's not a standard road, but it is an egress from that area. I don't know, I'm in favor of that road closure. It is very steep. It is very scary going down there in the wintertime. Also, when people are using, we've also added in Rotary Trail on there that was not there when you were a child, Councillor Graham. And as one of the speakers spoke about, getting hit by skateboarders coming down there, because it's a fast travel path, whether you're driving cars or other vehicles. So I do think it doesn't meet current safety standards, and sometimes things have to change for that. Yeah, so I think I will be voting in favor of this.
Thank you, Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. I know one of the other concerns that was brought up is trying to exit onto, was it 24th Avenue? Especially in the summer when cars are blocking the road. I'm just wondering if staff have looked into this or have looked into making that a no parking area, during the summer.
Thank you, Councillor Peabody, through the mayor. It's not something we looked at over in too detail as part of this, but we can definitely, if council decides they want staff to look at it, we can definitely look at adjusting that intersection to make it safer should you want.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think that, addressing some of the concerns that, the residents in the area brought up tonight would be important. In order to make this, more viable. And then, who was it? Tatiana was talking about, maybe it wasn't Tatiana, but how residents are, I don't know if it's residents or people using the health clinic are speeding through First. It was a little bit confusing sometimes to talk about if they're talking about the hill being first or like further up the street. But I don't know if that would be looked at in the traffic study about, I guess traffic study is just counting cars, correct? Who's going in, who's going out?
Councillor Peabody, that would depend on what we'd want for a traffic study. For the road closure itself, all staff looked at in terms of a traffic study was the intersection with this leg of 14th, so with 23rd and with Victoria. In terms of a traffic study, we didn't, given the number of residents, we didn't really count the cars because even though it's impactful to the residents, the number of cars and the trip generations, it's not an overall large impact with the number of cars coming and going.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm indifferent on this one. I could honestly have kind of lean one way or the other. Addressing the residents' concerns definitely helps me vote in favor of it. And then also if there's a repurpose of this land that benefits the community, that would also help in the decision too. Yeah, I think right now I'll vote in favor in order to see, what can be done with that land. But it's, I would say, along with Councillor Popoff and Councillor Graham, it's a tough decision.
Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that staff has identified that this was in fact a temporary road. And I recognize that it has had a long life as a temporary road. But, I appreciate the documentation in the report around that. Including from the delegations tonight, we've, I think, folks are coming from different perspectives, but certainly safety concerns have been identified. People have different thoughts about what the best way is to address those safety concerns, but there's pretty general consensus that there's safety concerns in terms of that intersection onto Victoria. I appreciate, the information that the folks shared with us this evening, and I think we have some opportunities perhaps for some problem solving that are a bit separate from this decision. There were some concerns about non-residents parking and resident-only parking, so perhaps we could do some outreach with residents around accessing 311, support from bylaw. So I think there's some problem solving we could do there potentially. And excuse me, I also wonder if there might be some problem solving and discussions we could have with IHA. We've had another question come in that we're trying to connect with IHA on around parking. So I wonder if there might be some discussions to have around that, or what their routes are related to the health unit, and how we might problem solve on traffic flows there. So I just think there's some problem solving we can do together. I'm inclined to vote in favor of this motion. And I would just remind all of us at the table and the folks in the community that the discussion around any proposed housing is a separate discussion. All we're talking about tonight is closing a road that is documented as a temporary road that has a slope that is outside of our current safety requirements. So that is all that is at the table tonight.
Thank you. From my perspective, staff, this is an inherited situation again. That's less than ideal. Looking at solutions, there really isn't good solutions for this. My concern is the impact on 1st and 24th. I know now, just going up to the regional district and turn in there, man, you don't know if you're turning in the regional district road or on the 1st Street. I would even question if 1st Street meets the city's road standard width. It's pretty narrow between that fence, and I don't think it does. So we're having it. So we're eliminating. We've got two means of access into there and egress. We're eliminating one. We're just putting more traffic in there into a road that I don't think that meets our standard. To start with, we got a hydrant right there that I've seen more than one person just miss that in the winter time. You get more traffic and more congestion in there. That hydrant will have to be, would almost have to be moved. And I feel for staff. It was temporary. Unfortunately, predecessors way before your time have made the decision to develop around that and not deal with it when it should have been dealt with. This should have been dealt with years ago. Bottom line is we're dealing with it today. I'm not comfortable until we've got a solution on how we're going to handle that traffic, and only that situation coming off of 24th. There's vehicles lined up all along. The sight lines are no good. I just think it's a really bad situation going in there. So, at this point in time, I can't support it. I like the idea of getting rid of it. I understand the liabilities, but we're just shifting the liability from one area to the other area, really. And, that's part of what we do is risk manage, right? We've been pretty good to date, with nothing major coming down off of that hill. But we need another solution regardless. Something's got to happen there. We know we've got to close it in time. I'm not prepared to vote to close it at this point in time till we found some kind of a better solution. Further, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Looks like a 4-3 that are opposed. Thank you very much. Good discussion, guys. Moving on, we're on a bit of a timeline here too. The next bylaw for consideration is from Engineering Development Services regarding Corbett Road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 4180, 2025. This bylaw is back tonight for third reading. Can I get a motion that subject to council's consideration of public input received up to and including public hearing of February 24th, 2025, council give third reading to Corbett Road closure and removal highway dedication bylaw number 4180, 2025. Mover, please. Councilor Ray, Councilor Bassett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Next bylaw is from Public Works as well, regarding Waterworks Amendment bylaw number 4182, 2025. This amendment bylaws is referring to the water connection fees and is back before council for adoption tonight. Can I get a motion? The council adopt Waterworks Amendment bylaw number 4182, 2025. Mover, please. Councilor Bassett, Councilor Popoff. Discussion, Councilor Bassett.
Thank you. What I'd like to suggest is that as a sort of management policy, that we review fees and charges every 5 years, because this was left way too long. And so we need to have procedures where that's coming up on the to-do list regularly, so that this kind of 39-year gap doesn't happen again.
Mayor Price through to Councilor Bassett, duly noted, and yeah, you'll see we build in annual escalators into anything that we do renew to take care of some of that stagnation, but also as we move through this exercise that we've been undertaking this year, that has certainly become evident that we have a lot of fees and charges that need more work and more annual.
Further, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next bylaw for consideration is from Engineering Development Services regarding Waterworks Amendment bylaw number 4183, 2025. This amendment bylaw is referring to water meters and is back before council tonight for adoption. Can I get a motion that council adopt Waterworks Amendment bylaw number 4183, 2025? Oh, Councilor. Right. Oh, Councilor Stetsky. Seconder. Councilor Bassett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Sorry, Wayne, I missed you there. I wasn't looking. Next bylaw for consideration tonight. The bylaws are also from Engineering Development Services regarding water connection charge bylaw number 4184, 2025, and sanitary sewer connection charge amendment bylaw number 4185, 2025. These bylaws are before council tonight for first, second, and third reading. Can I please have staff give us a brief overview of the report? Who do we have up here? Curtis?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. These amendment bylaws are being brought forward to actually update the fees from last year for inflation.
Just give me 1 minute here. Got to get my dance card in place here. Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to water connection charge amendment bylaw number 4184, 2025? Mover, Councilor Ray, Councilor Bassett. Discussion. All in favor? Approved. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give second reading to water connection charge amendment bylaw number 4184, 2025? Mover, Councilor Stetsky, Councilor Popoff. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give third reading to water connection charge amendment bylaw number 4184, 2025? Mover, Councilor Graham, Councilor Peabody. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. What did I do there? File. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to sanitary sewer connection charge amendment bylaw number 4185, 2025? Councilor Ray, Councilor Popoff. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Can I get a motion that council gives second reading to sanitary sewer connection charge amendment bylaw 4185/2025? Mover, Councillor Stetsky. Councillor Bissett. Discussion. All in favor? It's carried. Can I get a motion that council give third reading to sanitary sewer connection charge amendment bylaw number 4185/2025? Councillor Bissett, Councillor Peabody. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, guys. The next bylaw for consideration is also from Engineering Development Services regarding official community plan amendment bylaw number 4186/2025 at 800/810 Cranbrook Street North. This bylaw is before council tonight for first reading. Can I please have staff provide a brief overview of this report?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The city has received a rezoning and OCP amendment application from Blue Box Developments on behalf of Chris Hearn, who joins us in the gallery tonight. He's waiting patiently still. He is here. So very basically what this is doing, this first reading is just for the OCP land use designation. So this would be a split zoning. It was previously known as 800 and 810 Cranbrook Street. It was two separate parcels. The applicant has consolidated the parcels and would like to seek a split zoning down parallel to Kootenay Street and Cranbrook Street North, running that direction. So half of it would be remain as highway commercial corridor. The other half would go to high density residential development. The high density residential would be along the backside, which are along the Kootenay Street North portion, and the highway corridor would remain on Cranbrook Street North. Let's see here. So what Blue Box Development is proposing is to move there's a automotive glass repair shop currently at a different location. They would like to move to a site that they own and build the commercial along that, and then have 37 unit apartment building on the same parcel, just on the back side towards Kootenay Street North. There's a little bit of a mistyping in the background information here. So the apartment building would host, it would be all one bedroom with the exception of the penthouse suite at the top, which would be a 3-bedroom apartment building. So previously, the history of that site, as you may be aware, was about 5 years ago, the two buildings that were there burned down, which was Maymay's and the Legion, I believe. And so it's gone undeveloped for some time, and this would it's an opportunity for the city to provide more residential inventory for their land, and it's a good area for that sort of development, as it's close to downtown, it's close to the highway commercial corridor, it's close to high density residences, and in walking distance to various amenities. Yeah, that's a brief overview for you. Questions?
Thank you very much, Connor. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to City of Cranbrook official community plan amendment bylaw number 4186/2025 and authorize staff to undertake public consultation on the proposed amendment and refer to School District 5 for comments? Councillor Ray, Councillor Bissett, discussion. Councillor Graham?
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick question, because it kind of caught my eye. Why are we sending this to the school district for consultation when it's all 1-bedroom units for one, and whether they say yes or no, is that going to stop the project? No. So I'm just curious why we would pick them to send it to.
Yeah, generally they just like to know if there's an increase in density around their any of the schools. The site would be oriented towards young professionals, living in single bedroom apartment buildings, but any larger high density increase, it's a good show to have them weigh in on what their needs may be in the future, and it shouldn't hold up the process, as if we didn't receive a response from them, it would be taken as.
Are we required to send a
Yeah, so consultation with a number, so consultation with the school board is through the provincial legislation with the Local Government Act. And I believe it's not, I'll have to verify this, but I believe there wouldn't be, we wouldn't be held up if we didn't receive any input from them. Only if we received something that was to tell us that we need to conduct a study, which is unlikely. But the consultation would happen, and it's also will have to go to the Advisory Planning Commission prior to end of the process at rezoning as well.
And yeah, sorry, like not to harp on this, but I'm going to harp on this a bit.
Yeah.
Like we did that with Broad Street, which totally made sense because of what it was and how many units there were. Is it specifically because it doesn't specify whether it is like for a seniors development? Like we've had different apartment proposals come forward, and I haven't really seen one that's gone to the school board other than Broad Street. Did we send one for the seniors one that we were proposed on Victoria? I'm just curious the rationale on this for 37 units when they're all one-bedroom units. How that's going to affect the catchment?
Yeah, so generally we're just required to send this to consultation, and that can include sending it to a number of different ministries or the school board. And if council would like us to undertake the consultation, I think that I do believe that the consultation is outlined in the legislation. I don't believe it's mandatory that we undertake from the school board, but the school board does like to see when they have an increase, a high density come in, just as the Ministry of Transportation would like to see when high density comes in as well.
Yeah, certainly, I've seen this at the regional district, not for the school board, but on some of the I guess their process, part of their process is they have various organizations or agencies that they just get a rubber stamp on, but quite often you'll see that they haven't had a response yet, and you just make the decisions anyways. It's certainly not going to hold this up. And you know what? Even if they do have a comment contrary to, it's our decision at the end of the day that's going to move it forward. So yeah, I'm not overly concerned about it at this time. Anything further, council? Yep. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thanks, guys. Next bylaw tonight is also from Engineering Development Services regarding official community plan amendment number 4188 2025, which is a text amendment. This bylaw is before council tonight for first, second, and third reading. Can I please have staff provide a brief overview of this? Connor?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proposed housekeeping amendment. It's just a typographical error in the OCP, the enabling bylaw with the OCP. So it's just to fix the year going from, it's written as 2005, but it should have been written as 2006, very simply put.
Good, thanks, Connor. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to City of Cranbrook official community plan, our Path to Cranbrook 2042 amendment, bylaw number 4188 2025. Mover, please. Councillor Popoff, Councillor Bissett. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council gives second reading to City of Cranbrook official community plan, our Path to Cranbrook 2042 amendment, bylaw number 4188 2025. Mover, Councillor Ray, Councillor Graham. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give third reading to City of Cranbrook official community plan, our Path to Cranbrook 2042 amendment, bylaw number 4188 2025. Mover, please. Councillor Stetsky, Councillor Peabody. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, guys. That now brings us to item 8.1 of new business, which was moved up on the agenda. This is a report from Engineering Development Services regarding the Gold Creek Dam design budget and construction budget updates. Can I please have staff? Who do we have here? Curtis? Curtis,
Good
Curtis.
evening, Mayor and Council. So the report coming forward here is to cover a couple items related to the Gold Creek Dam project. The first one is we've been, as Council know, we had submitted the design for approval to the various provincial ministries and agencies. We've received comments back from all of them at this point in time. One of the main points coming back was actually from the dam safety branch, as they are requesting that we have a independent third-party review done of the design. This has come up as a bit of a newer requirement under the EGBC guidelines, so it wasn't actually something that was being required at the time of the initial design and submission, but it has come into effect now, so they are still asking for it. So this was never as part of our original design budget. So right now the estimate is right around $75,000, maybe a little bit more. So you'll see that the request there is for up to a maximum of $100,000. So we're in the process of trying to secure a firm that is qualified to do the review, as well can do it within the timeline to try and keep the project moving on the schedule that we'd like. So that's kind of the first part of that. The other part in that letter is the province has requested a few additional items be included in the design. So one of those is a log debris boom. You won't see those on any of the two dams we have now, but it is something that they're universally enforcing. So it does increase the cost of the construction. The other item is there was some questions related to the location of the spillway. Our engineering team is in the process of answering those right now. We've just done some geotechnical drilling. Hopefully we're able to leave it where is designed and proposed. There's a lot of reasons why we want to keep it where it is, but if we are required to shift it slightly as they requested, it would increase the cost. So that's why you're seeing the estimated construction costs being increased in here as the second item.
Thank you, Curtis. Can I get a motion that council approve funding an independent third-party engineering review of the Gold Creek Dam up to a minimum of $100,000 from the Water Capital Reserve? Mover, please. Councillor Popoff. Councillor Ray, discussion. Councillor Graham.
Minimum or maximum?
I'm sorry, maximum. Did I say minimum? Ooh, that's quite, that's a little slip, isn't it? That's a big slip. You want me to read it again? No, we're good. I stand corrected. Yes. So that's a maximum of $100,000. Woo. Discussion? Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I get a motion that, well, hang on, yeah. Can I get a motion that council approve increase in project IPD 0023 Gold Creek Dam construction to $15 million from $14 million, please? Mover, Councillor Popoff, Councillor Peabody, discussion. Councillor Popoff.
Thank you. And some of the rationale for this cost increase is new seismic requirements. When was the last time Cranbrook had an earthquake? And I think, can we challenge those requirements? Because we're not an earthquake-prone part of Canada.
Through Mayor Price to Councillor Popoff, it's something that is now enshrined in legislation, so it is not something we can get around.
Just thought I'd ask. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Further, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Now, back to bylaws on item 6.8, the final bylaw for consideration tonight is from Finance regarding Gold Creek Dam Loan Authorization Bylaw number 4189, 2025. This bylaw is before council tonight for first, second, and third reading. Can I please have staff provide a brief overview of this report? Is Charlene on hand?
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Charlene.
So
The estimated, as you just heard, the estimated total cost of the dam replacement project is about 15 million, up from 14 million. The city was awarded 5 million grant thanks to the successful grant application through the Disaster Risk Reduced Climate Adaptation Funding Stream of the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund. So this grant will reduce the amount the city needs to borrow to complete this infrastructure project down to $10 million. So staff is recommending borrowing up to the 10 million to cover the city of Cranbrook's contribution of the estimated project costs and any unforeseen expenses. And once the loan authorization bylaw receives approval of the Inspector of Municipalities, the next step would be to start the alternative approval process. At that time, staff will present the final information package and set the deadline for the AAP process.
Thanks, Charlene. Can I get a motion that council give first reading to Gold Creek Dam Loan Authorization Bylaw number 4189, 2025? Mover, Councillor Ray, Councillor Graham. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give second reading to Gold Creek Dam Loan Authorization Bylaw number 4189, 2025? Mover, please. Councillor Stetsky. Councillor Bassett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I get a motion that council give third reading to Gold Creek Dam Loan Authorization Bylaw number 4189, 2025, and further that council direct staff to forward Gold Creek Dam Loan Authorization Bylaw number 4189, 2025 to the Inspector of Municipalities for approval? Mover, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor Blissett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thanks, guys. Great work, guys, on that one. Now moving on to new business. First, we have a proposed resolution from Councillor Stetsky in regards to calls for resolutions to the Association of Kootenay and Boundary Local Governments, the AKGLB. Councillor Stetsky has provided a backgrounder to the proposed resolution as well. Councillor Stetsky's motion is attached to the agenda package. I will now read out the proposed motion for council's consideration to the AKBLG. Whereas there is an urgent need for publicly funded beds who support youth from 0 to 18 years of age struggling with drug and alcohol addiction in southeastern British Columbia. And whereas the closest treatment centers serving youth are located in Kamloops for detox and recovery, an 8-hour drive from Cranbrook, and in Kelowna for recovery, a 6-hour drive from Cranbrook. And whereas there is no public transportation linking southeast British Columbia with Kamloops or Kelowna. And whereas a parent or guardian is required to accompany their child and remain there at their expense while the child participates in detox in Kamloops and waits for a recovery bed to become available in Kamloops or Kelowna, resulting in hundreds of dollars in personal expenses for travel, accommodation, and meals. Therefore, be it resolved that the BC government, through the Ministry of Children and Family Development and the Ministry of Health, provide a minimum of 10 publicly funded detox and treatment beds for youth to be located in a center in the southeastern British Columbia. Can I get a motion? The council endorse the resolution submitted by Councillor Stetsky regarding establishment of a residential detox and treatment center for youth in southeast British Columbia and direct staff to submit the resolution and background information to the AKBLG. Mover, please. Councillor Stetsky is the mover, and I get a seconder, please. Councillor Ray. A little discussion on this? Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points. So this meets the format that's laid out by AKBLG. The reason it's coming forward today is that the resolutions have to be in by the end of February, which is coming up very shortly. And I did consult with the agencies, organizations working with youth struggling with drugs and alcohol addiction in constructing the resolution.
Thanks, Wayne. Further? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah, thank you.
The next item of new business tonight is from Public Works regarding water turn on and turn off policy number 60-102. We have staff going to speak to that. Who do we have up there on the screen? Hey,
Good
Caitlin?
evening. Hi.
Hey there.
Good evening. So this is just a for the water turn on and turn off policy, just to change it back into our current policy and procedure documents as two separate documents. Otherwise, there's no other significant changes.
Thank you. Can I get a motion that council approve the updated water turn on and turn off policy number 60102? Mover, please. Councilor Bissett. Councilor Stetsky. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, and thank you, Caitlin. And Caitlin, I understand that Thursday is your last day, that you will be leaving on mat leave. So you'll be away for a while. I saw you earlier today. You look fantastic for your stage of pregnancy, for sure. Yeah, and I understand everything's going well. So all the best, and we'll see you when you return.
Thank you.
The next item of new business tonight is from Engineering Development Services regarding the floodplain exemption at 1601 4th Street South. Staff here as well to speak to this. Curtis?
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. Santana's asked me to speak on her behalf tonight. She was busy, so. So the city has received a floodplain exemption application for a property located at 1601 4th Street South. It's to facilitate a townhouse development on the site. I believe it's 34 units. The current bylaw requires in this zone either the elevation of 899 meters, 0.6 meters above the crown of the road, or 6 meters above the land. But given the slope of the property, there's quite a difference between the upper and lower, that the bylaw being antiquated a bit, it's not really conducive to those requirements because the buildings really close to the road would be way up in the sky compared to everything else around on the road. So they've undertaken an engineering report here and the flood hazard assessment qualifications from a professional engineer. So the 1 in 200 year flood construction level has been set at 930.1 meters for the site. There's also some requirements for riprap and construction to facilitate erosion or stop erosion from occurring, pardon me. And also as a requirement of the bylaws, should council give the exemption, they'll be required to provide a flood hazard covenant on site, indemnifying the city of any flood related issues that may occur. So there's a low risk of flood happening at the site given the studies that have been shown and the city's undertaken to date. It's just a couple of preemptive measures in case it does get high in the future.
Thanks, Curtis. Can I get a motion that council approve the application for relaxation of the required flood construction elevation from 933.6 meters to 930.1 meters for Lot E Plan NEP 887, District Lot 22, PID 001-113-287. Mover, please. Councillor Popoff, Councillor Stetsky. Discussion. Councillor Stetsky.
Just a quick question. I'm wondering how close the development's going to be to the Rotary Trail along there. Do we know that at this point?
Councillor Stetsky, through the mayor, I don't have that in front of me at this point. However, as part of the development, before any development permits can be issued, they are required to dedicate a section of the land as park around Rotary Trail up to a statutory right of way. So it is further than 15 meters because they fall outside of that riparian area requirements. I believe it's further, but I don't know the exact number.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. Further? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next up is also from Engineering Development Services regarding West Victoria trunk main upgrade design from 4th Street South to 6th Street South. Can I get staff to provide a brief overview of this? Curtis?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Mayor and Council again. This request has been brought forward because of the development that we just brought forward. Part of the trunk main that we have capacity issues with flows in behind this development. We are looking at changing the alignment a bit to go further. I've provided a map attached to it, the staff report. So what we're asking for is to undertake design of the sewer from 4th Street South to 6th Street South to make sure it would flow correctly, with the idea is that should this development go forward with building permits, that we'd come back to ask for development cost charges to actually build the small section of sewer between 4th and what would be 5th Street. So that we don't have to go in there again once the development's complete and there's a number of houses, because it's right up against within 2-3 meters at the back of the buildings.
Thanks, Rich. Can I get a motion that council approve the design of the West Victoria trunk upgrade, 4th Street South to 6th Street South, of which $74,250 to be funded from the sanitary sewer DCCs and $750 funded from the sanitary sewer capital program. Over, please, Councillor Ray, Councillor Blissett. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item of new business tonight is from Finance regarding the Cranbrook History Center annual funding and loan repayment schedule. Can I ask staff to provide a overview of the report, please? Oh, sorry.
Mayor Price and to council, just so you're aware, the speaking notes that the presenter Jeanette had provided, we missed attaching that to the report. We just noticed she verbalized the information from the speaking notes, but they weren't attached to the report. So just so you're aware, we do have the written version of what she spoke to, but you heard it verbalized. So if you'd like, we can defer this item to another meeting, or if you feel comfortable that you have the information that she's verbalized, then we can go forward.
Council? Comfortable? Comfortable? Everybody's comfortable? Councillor Statsky, are you comfortable?
I am, but I'd like to propose that we split the proposed
Thank you.
when the time comes.
Okay, we'll move forward then. Can I get a motion that council authorize a funding agreement with Cranbrook Archives Museum and Landmark Society for a term of 3 years with 2 renewal options for 3 years each? And further, that council authorize funding of $120,000 for year 1, 2025, of the funding agreement, and further that council authorize annual decreases in funding of $10,000, and further that council direct the annual payments be made in 2 installments, March 31st and September 30th each year. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Popoff. Councillor, nobody? Councillor Ray? Discussion. Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not in favor of decreasing the funding to the History Center by $10,000 every year. That's why I didn't second this. I also like what Jeanette proposed in her presentation today, that instead of doing direct annual payments to be made in 2 installments, sorry, is this the direct payments, is that to the History Center or is that towards the loan? Towards the loan. Yeah. City's payments. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. But regardless, I still, I like what Jeanette proposed about keeping the $120,000, but having $14,000 of that subtracted and put towards their loan payment.
Thank you. Councillor Tetsky.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Peabody, and that's why I thought maybe we should split the motion up to 120,000 a year minus the loan. And then a second proposal be to reduce it by 10,000 a year, because I'm in favor of the 120 a year, favor of taking the loan off, but I am not in favor of reducing it by 10,000 a year.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bissett.
I agree with Councillor Stetsky. I'm not sure how we can justify reducing funding by $10,000 a year when costs go up. So that's a major hit. And so I think what we should do is just go with the $120,000 a year. And then at budget time, we look at increases, whether we can say that's, you know, looking at inflation or whatever to have an annual increase or biannual increase, something like that. I'm not in favor of reducing funding by $10,000 per year.
Thank you. Councillor Papa?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I think I did make the motion just to get this exact conversation going. I think I heard Jeanette say, at least for the next 3 years, we need stable funding while they're going through their Fort Steele governance process and a few other things. So I would like to defeat the motion or amend it to take that 10,000 out, at least for the next 3 years, or whatever we want to do down.
Thank you. Further? All in favor? Oh, Councillor Peabody?
So there has been discussions about, you know, whether or not we get rid of the service agreement and go to a grant. So if we agree, if we vote this $120,000 fee for service for the next 3 years, does that kibosh sort of the work that staff have been working on as far as whether or not we go with a grant or a fee for service?
So Councillor Peabody through Mayor Price, I guess this is something we've talked quite at length about with staff, and in terms of it was, you know, the conversation around fitting the grant criteria was a conversation, and that was, you know, how do we do an off ramp from a service agreement? And so, you know, there was some conversation tonight about a service agreement that wasn't as prescriptive as the one we're currently trying to enforce, which is causing some issues. So certainly that could be another option. You know, it's the rules around granting that is part of the city's grant program that staff were trying to move this towards, and that, you know, then the other side was the conflict of trying to manage a service agreement that had a lot of particulars that weren't exactly the city's purview, that were really within the History Center's purview. So there was a lot of things. I think, you know, there's some good discussion tonight and some new options on the table for council to consider providing direction to staff on.
Councillor Statsky, Councillor Graham?
Yeah, I certainly support it being a service agreement. I think the other challenge, if it went into the grant in aids, and quite frankly, I've had some of the groups say we shouldn't be calling it a grant in aid because it sounds like they're sick and needing money. It'd be a different discussion, but if we put it in grants and aids, there's not much left for the rest of the organizations in town off of the amount of we've got allocated for grants and aid. So keep it as a service agreement.
Thank you, Councillor Graham.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not opposed to it being a service agreement. I think we need new wording in the service agreement because we don't need staff tied up in the service agreement. So as long as we can get proper wording and then our staff time doesn't have to be focused on this, that would be great because I feel they're quite competent to manage their own affairs.
Thank you. Councillor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. It sounds like there's a growing consensus around the table to defeat this motion. So just to clarify, in terms of procedure, the mover has to vote in favor of the motion that they moved, correct? Not correct?
No, we defeat it, we defeat it.
No, I realize that, but I thought the mover had to vote in favor of the motion?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you for the clarification from our corporate officer.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I had gathered around the table over time that perhaps the mover needed to vote in favor of their motion when it came to the vote. So I'm just seeking clarity on that. I'm the seconder, but I just wanted to clarify that point of procedure.
Does the mover have to vote in favor of their own motion?
So it's a 7-0.
I don't think so, no.
I don't believe so either.
No, I believe you can just defeat it right across.
Okay, now the mover can vote as they choose. They're not required to vote. Very good. Thank you for the clarification from our corporate officer.
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? Motion's defeated. Somebody want to? Councillor Ray?
I'd like to respectfully suggest that we send this back to staff. We've gained additional information, additional options tonight. I think it would be wise to send this back to staff and come back with another report. We're all learning together, but I think that would be a better use of our time rather than trying to do it on the fly.
I think that's not a bad idea. You know, next meeting, maybe, certainly, we want to make sure that it's done right when we do it, that we don't miss something tonight and have to bring it back again. So that certainly makes sense to me. Is everybody good with that? Yeah, good. Councillor Peabody?
Are we going to invite Jeanette back to redo her presentation? Okay.
Okay. Alrighty, we'll move on then. No point in going to, where are we here? Stage 2, 3, 4. That saved me a whole lot of reading here too. Holy mackerel. We'll move on to 8.7. That is from finance as well regarding the Cranbrook Public Library 2025 to 2029 budget allocation. Can I ask Charlene to speak to this, please?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm grateful I didn't have to read that whole other report back to you. So basically, there's two options that staff has developed based on the library submission. So the first option is to keep the annual increase at 2%, and that's what's currently in the financial plan. The second option is to keep it at 2% plus an additional $45,033, which would be increased by 2% every year from 2026 to 2029. So the library's comment regarding this was the additional funding was that the additional funding requested for 2025 will enable the Cranbrook Public Library to continue to provide existing levels of services and programs to our communities. Should the library not get the increase, the board will have no choice but to cut service levels. It will be up to the board to decide what this will look like.
Thank you. We've got two options on the table here. Option 1, option 2. Somebody want to make a recommendation? Oh, pardon me? 1? Okay, Councillor Popoff, option 1. Councillor Graham's the seconder on that. Discussion. Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Charlene, I know in the past, the library has asked for increases in the budget. I couldn't recall if they were just like a one-time request or is the 2% increase per year, is that already on top of other increases from previous years? Not just the 2%, but no, bigger increases than what the 2% was.
Councillor Peabody through Mayor. Yes, actually, I think there's one time that it was a one-time request, but traditionally the increases are added to the operational budget and carried on. So, similar to this 45,000 would be added to the 2025 budget and then added to the 26, 27, 2029 budget.
Okay.
So 2% increase, yeah.
Yeah, so the library budget has been increasing at more than 2% historically.
Yes, it has, yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Popoff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the city's going
Then
through,
Councillor Stetsky, sorry.
the city's going through a huge, budget deliberations, and we're cutting our levels of service as a city operations. So I think it's fair for other agencies that we are helping support also look at maintaining their current level of funding and not ask for other increases. And if that means cutting some service levels, that's what we as a city are doing as well. And I think it's only on scale. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stetsky.
Yeah, as the liaison between council and the board, I just wanted to reassure council that the $45,000 was due to increase in wages. It's nothing that primarily nothing that the library has any control over. And there will be some kind of cuts to services potentially if the additional 45,000 a year isn't part of the budget. And it's not, it's just that simple. They haven't asked for anything new. They've asked to retain what they have in the way of services to the public, which are really quite outstanding. So I guess we'll vote on this one, and then I would have gone with option 2, but let's see what happens with option 1.
Thank you. Further? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Councillor Stetsky is opposed. Final item of new business tonight is from Corporate Services regarding liquor and cannabis control licensing for Mission Hills Golf Course and their change of hours, outside of service hours, application. Can I ask staff to provide a brief overview on this one? Who do we have? Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So Mission Hills Golf Course has applied to the LCRB to change their hours of liquor service. As a requirement, Council needs to approve the processing of this application before it gets submitted to the LCRB. We've dealt with a few of these in the past. This is our first this year. So this location is established at 3320 Theater Road. Staff were consulted. There's no concerns from the building, bylaw, planning, fire emergency, or Cranbrook RCMP. Mission Hills has a current patron capacity of 21 as per their liquor primary. We sent out 22 written notices by mail, and there were no comments received as of the writing of this report. And that was notification within 150 feet. So there's 2 recommendations on the report that will then be submitted to the LCRB as part of this application process.
Thanks, Bradley. Can I get a motion that council supports the application for Mission Hills Golf Course for a change of hours of liquor service application for an establishment located at 3320 Theater Road to extend the hours of sale as follows. Proposed hours of sale would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, starting at 9 a.m., stopping at 2 o'clock a.m. Mover. Councillor Ray. Councillor Bissett. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion of council approve staff's comments on the prescribed conditions as follow? Noise is not to be expected to cause significant issues for nearby residents as the establishment had a prior liquor license located in a tourist commercial zone. No negative impact is anticipated on the community and neighborhood as the establishment has a 21 patron capacity as per their liquor primary. The views of the property owner and occupants within approximately 150 feet of the establishment were gathered by way of written invitation to comment on the application with no comments received. The mover, please. Councillor Popoff, Councillor Ray, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We'll be moving on to correspondence. First item of correspondence is from Heather O'Hara from the BC Farmers Market. Can I get a motion that council receive the correspondence from Heather O'Hara, a BC AFM Executive Director, BC Farmers Market, dated February 7th, 2025, regarding the request for a letter to the BC Minister of Health to continue and expand funding investment for the BC Farmers Market Nutrition Coupon Program, and further that council direct the mayor on behalf of council to provide a letter of support for 2025 BC Farmers Market seasons as requested. Mover, please. Councillor Blissett, Councillor Peabody. Discussion. All in favor? All opposed? That's carried. Thanks, guys. And the final item, correspondence is outgoing from the City of Cranbrook to the Honorable Josie Osborne, Minister of Health, regarding healthcare concerns in our community. Received for information or discussion? We're good? Received for information? Very good. Thanks, guys. And that brings us to Mayor and Council's reports and inquiries. Let's start with Councillor Stetsky and work our way around the table.
Thank you. Just would like to thank Councillor Ray for walking in the coldest night of the year. I was happy to support her group she was supporting, which was the Cranbrook Urban Food. And what would we call that? I guess Councillor Ray will get me the right words, but it's the new initiative to grow our own vegetables here in Cranbrook.
Good on. Councillor Peabody.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the other day I was parking in where the transfer station is, and I noticed that I believe that is city property and it's plowed in the winter. I was just curious, does the city plow that, or is that does the chamber contract someone to? Or sorry, not the transfer station, the sanitary sewer, yeah, disposal area. And to go further on this, is there other parking lots that the city is plowing that maybe are not heavily used? And then should we prioritize the sidewalk along the main strip going through town over top of maybe some of these parking lots, if that is the case? I think the sidewalks along the strip benefit the greater community as opposed to maybe parking lots that might just benefit a few businesses.
Thank you, Councillor Bissett.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. It's been all curling all the time, just saying, between the Scotties and then the Briar coming up this weekend. And then also events at the Cranbrook Curling Center. Over the weekend, we had the Ladies Bonspiel, the Shades of Green. And so I've now become a professional curler because I made $20 from my winnings in our Bonspiel. But anyways, it was well attended. We had over 18 teams attend, and the curling center is quite busy. We had another youth group in last week, and this week is the club championship. So competition between sort of the Southeast British Columbia curling clubs. So that's going on all this week. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few community events over the last couple of weeks. So February 11th, I was pleased to visit the Ktunaxa Nation Council's open house. And if folks haven't been to one of their open houses, they hold them periodically. It's encourage everybody to go check it out. Great way to learn about different services that the nation offers. You might get to have a delicious piece of fry bread, possibly with huckleberry jam, and there's great door prizes. So next time there's a KNC open house, I would encourage folks to check it out. I was pleased to fill in for the mayor at the RDK meetings alongside Councillor Blissett last week. So always a good opportunity to learn about what's going on in our region. As Councillor Stetsky mentioned, this past Saturday was the coldest night of the year to benefit the Cranbrook Urban Farm. And congratulations to Community Connections for a successful event. They reached 101% of their fundraising goal. The first harvest of greens has been successfully completed. Some of those are distributed to nonprofit agencies, and some will be hitting our local grocery stores. So Canadian Cranbrook grown greens. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Pink Shirt Day is coming up this Wednesday. So that's our anti-bullying day that started in Canada. So encourage everyone to wear pink for that. And just one final note, there's been a few posts which I think are just random but happen to be related around folks really appreciating our residents who are able and take the time to shovel their residential sidewalks. So of course we've had a big melt now, so a lot of that snow has disappeared. But I would just share those thanks with the folks who make the effort to stay on top of their snow. As per our bylaw, we're all supposed to do our best to shovel 24 hours after each snowfall, but it really makes a difference to people if they have strollers, if they're using scooters, if they're in a wheelchair, using a walker. So thank you to the folks who are shoveling. If there's people out there who are not able to shovel, I would encourage them to connect with their neighbors, connect with service clubs, but really, really important to do our very best to keep our residential sidewalks clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Papa.
Yes, thank you. So a couple weekends ago, I attended the huge monster truck rally on the Saturday afternoon, and I just wanted to reach out and thank and recognize city staff for all the efforts they put on to host that event. It was sold out virtually all three events. There was huge economic development for the community because most of the people were from out of Cranbrook. So great economic development, and I think we have to continue to do these sort of things and maybe make them a little more closer than 20 years apart going forward. So well done, city staff.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. I got a couple things here. I'd like to thank MP Rob Morrison for arranging a meeting with the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP. He arranged a meeting that CEO Virtual and I met with him last Friday, and it was a very good meeting. He was in the area, so MP Morrison extended an offer to us, and he made time to sit down and talk about local policing issues we had in Cranbrook. I think it went very well. There was a couple issues that we had that are quite concerning to Cranbrook. Not so much as the boots on the ground stuff, but more administrative and financial. He was very receptive. He wasn't aware that some of these issues existed, and he'll be working on them on our behalf going forward. So thanks again to MP Morrison for arranging that for us. Yesterday I had the opportunity to meet and work with the new youth ambassadors. We have a new group, so the mayor meets with them every year with a new group that comes in. Basically, the role of local government. So about an hour and a half of the session there, and I got to tell you, every time I go to these things, these girls are young ladies are grade 10 and 11. I'm telling you, you'd swear you're dealing with the university, students, and this is just a start. And we all seen it, from the start of them. We meet these young ladies at the start of their program, and at the end, and there's a transformation there that's absolutely incredible. So that's an incredible program. I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome. Make no mistake, we have an extremely capable and talented group there. And last but not least, one of the duties of the mayor is to present 100-year certificates, 100-year-old to 200-year-old citizens of Cranbrook. Don't know if everybody's aware of that. Yeah. Well, you got to tell you, it doesn't get any better than this. I had the good fortune last weekend of presenting my mother with a 100-year certificate on behalf of the city of Cranbrook. So she's cruising right along. She can carry on a conversation, and hey, life's still pretty good. So I'm pretty sure I'll be back for, actually I had to present it the day before her birthday. And they said, come on, you can't let me down here. You gotta make it. But no, she's doing absolutely great. You know what? And it was such a privilege, of course, your mother, and of course, being fortunate enough to be the mayor at the same time that your mother turned, that to me is absolutely incredible. So that was fantastic. That's all we got. So can I get a motion to adjourn the regular meeting? A mover, please. Councillor Peabody, Councillor Graham. All in favor, opposed? Okay.